Welcome to Flamp Flamp Sports. My name is Richard Harris. At 9:10 Mountain Time in the state of Arizona, Muhammad Ali passed away. They said he didn't suffer. They said he died due to complications of Parkinson's disease, and mostly it was natural causes. Don't know what that means, but it took me back to a year ago when Muhammad Ali was sick, and I did a blog about, what the world would think, react to his not being here anymore. The things that they would think and say about his life, his contributions to the earth, to humankind, to every man, every day. And over these past 3 days, I've been listening and watching highlights of his boxing career, hearing stories about his humanitarian efforts, hearing stories about his matches, his, combatants. And it's one of the strangest, eulogies, I guess, to give for this man. Because he was public enemy number one for 3 years at least in this country. People in the 1960s loved him and then hated him and then loved him again. And it's strange. It's very, very strange. Because the age at which he was trying to avoid the war, I guess there was a draft in this country. I wasn't born yet, so I was literally born a year later. But they could have drafted anybody they wanted into the Army, and they chose the heavyweight champion of the world. And he refused. And at that time, college campuses, protests, and so on and so forth were pretty strong against the war, strong against and for civil rights. And it's just fascinating to me, the arc of his life, to go from Olympic hero to American villain, to almost a puppet because he got knocked, broken jaw against Joe Frazier, and then comes from out of nowhere and beats Foreman to get his title back, and then gets beat up very badly by Larry Holmes, and then loses his ability to speak or to be as boisterous as he once was, to lighting a torch, to, apparently he was a part of the negotiations releasing hostages in 1980, apparently. So many things this man's life entailed. The statements he made after 9/11 about what being a Muslim truly is speaks volumes. And to, of course, his passing. If you want to have a full life, and we all do, we don't want to have a full life where we have to go to jail, where you have to suffer as loss, where you have to suffer. We want to have a full life in which we are succeeding. We may fail a little bit, but are able to get back on our feet and fight again. Fight for our lives, fight for ourselves, do good to people, do good for people. And this man did it all. And to be the most famous person in the world, at a time period where he didn't have to do anything. Jackie Robinson gets a lot of credit for being the first and showed, maybe he laid the groundwork for Muhammad Ali in his quests and endeavors in life. But to me, he was my first hero. Other than my father and my big brother, he was my first hero. And what I mean, I don't have a lot of heroes, I don't take that word lightly. In fact, I could tell you all the people that I've admired in life, and unfortunately, they've all had a crazy arc in their lives. Some of them have even done things that they should, that the world, and they've been ashamed of and in jail for. I mean, Muhammad Ali was my first hero. My second hero, unfortunately, was O.J. Simpson. Loved me O.J. Simpson. Then moved on to Reggie Jackson. Moved on to Darryl Strawberry and Bernard King. And all of a sudden, it became Lawrence Taylor and Tiger Woods and Magic Johnson. And, these guys have all stood the test of time. Some of them have had a terrible life. Some of them have done things that they are so ashamed of. Some of them have been in prison. Some of them cheated on their wives. One's got AIDS. One's in jail because he stole his items. I mean, I can't say I picked the best people. But all those guys combined never made me feel like Muhammad Ali made me feel. I remember watching the Thriller in Manila. I remember watching the Rumble in the Jungle. And watching it with my father and my older brother. And just sitting there watching, thinking that Muhammad Ali's going to get killed by George Foreman. And every time Foreman threw a punch, holding my breath, thinking if he lands cleanly one of these big lumbering rights or lefts, he's going to kill him. I remember watching Joe Frazier, and I kept saying to myself, why is this little man keep giving Ali so much problems? Ken Norton, why? Ken Norton. And in Ken Norton's heart, he never felt he ever lost Ali. Why do these little guys give him so much trouble? And then watching him fight Ernie Shavers, Randall Tex Cobb, Jerry Quarry, Evangelista. And then now watching all these tapes of him as a young fighter and fully understanding why he was the greatest. He was the greatest because he revolutionized boxing. He's the best fighter ever to fight because he took what he learned from watching Sugar Ray Robinson, the ability to move, the ability to fight going backwards, the ability to knock you out with a right or a left. And he took punches. The ability to think. They showed on Wide World of Sports Joe Louis fighting Max Schmeling. And they asked Muhammad Ali to commentate that fight that happened 30 plus years earlier. And he kept saying, those guys don't move. They just stand there and take punches from each other. That's not boxing. If they had moved more, Joe Louis in particular he was talking about, who knows? He's like, that's why I'm better than Joe Louis. Joe Louis didn't move. That's why he was better than all the fighters prior to him, because they all just basically stood in the middle of the ring and just punched each other out until someone won, until someone couldn't get up. And I know this will turn people off talking about Floyd Mayweather in that manner, but that's what boxing is supposed to be. Maybe not running, but not getting hit. And they show Ali in all these fights, and they say he was never hit until he went to the exile, until he wasn't allowed to fight. And they show fights where he got crocked by Burt Cooper. He was getting hit in some other fights, but they weren't affecting him. And since then, how many heavyweight champions do you know throw 5-punch combinations, 6-punch combinations, triple jabs, 4-time jabs, double jabs with both hands? If you watch an old fight of his, there's nothing like it. Being able to have the stamina to throw the combination of punches to knock Foreman out, to hit him without even reloading 3 and 4 times, forcing Foreman to pirouette and fall to the ground. That's why he's the greatest. He's the greatest because he stole, literally, some people might say, victory from the jaws of defeat so many times. He would look terrible for 5 rounds as he even got older as a fighter, and then come back and win. And the funny thing is, the most disrespected heavyweight champion in the world is Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes gets no credit for being a great champion. People say the heavyweight division was in the heavyweight division after Ali and after Holmes took the division over. Larry Holmes was a Muhammad Ali disciple. He trained with Ali. Ali taught Holmes that sick jab. And for people to say the bad stuff they said about Larry Holmes almost broke Rocky Marciano's record. Had it not been for some strange... I mean, I watched the Michael Spinks fight a couple of times. The first one. Larry Holmes, in my opinion, that was a great fight. But he fought a guy that one night who essentially did enough to win. But Mike Tyson even said after he knocked Larry Holmes out, and you saw in that fight, the first round, Tyson hit Larry Holmes with a right and a left and dropped him. Second round, Holmes, first half of the second round, basically realized that, okay, he hits hard. And then began to box. And then for like almost a round and a half, he was popping Tyson with that jab. And then in the fourth round, Tyson put an end to the fight. And after the fight was over, Mike Tyson said, he goes, I have much respect for Larry Holmes. He said, if this was in Larry Holmes' prime, I'd have had a hard time getting away from that jab. Because he started using that jab in that third round, and I didn't know what to do. Ali changed boxing. He taught you how to stick and move. Stick and move. Nowadays, we're back to the old days. Because the Klitschko brothers and this big English guy, who's a new champion, whose name I had already forgotten, he moves a little bit. He's trying to stick and move, but more than likely, they stand in the middle of the ring and fight. All these bigger guys, whether it's Lennox Lewis, whether it's, Hasim Rahman, David, all these guys are huge. They don't move. And they get popped. by better fighters. But I think as a child of Ali's, I would call myself, we watch these fights and we would just sit at home and wonder how he's going to get through it. Because we missed the early days when he used to just pummel people from start to finish. Unfortunately for Michael Jordan, everybody wants Michael Jordan to be like Muhammad Ali. Michael Jordan, no question, is probably the second or third most recognized athlete in the history of the world, behind Pele and Ali. And maybe Babe Ruth will probably be be fourth, whatever. But Michael Jordan doesn't want that mantle because that's not him. Michael Jordan believes in his mind, and I have nothing against that his hard work has put him in position in life to do and go after any and everything that he's wanted. He went to college as a geography major. Not a geology major, a geography major, because he believed he was going places in life. He put in the tireless hours in the gym to take the punishment that was coming from the Pistons and the Knicks. 6 for 6 in championships, with a brief retirement in the middle. And that's all he wanted to be. He wanted to be a corporation, fine. He became an industry. But he didn't want to be Jim Brown. He didn't want to be Magic Johnson. He didn't want to be Muhammad Ali. He just wanted to play basketball, become a businessman, and live happily ever after. And a lot of people are mad at that. And these young athletes today talking about they want to emulate Ali, and they have in some regards. It's not the same world. It's not. LeBron can't do anything right. And unfortunately, we live in a world where we criticize you when you start to fail, when you start to diminish, when you're not dominating the world like you used to do, as opposed to letting you go out gracefully. I mean, Tiger Woods, Peyton Manning, prime examples. Because you can't say anything because nobody wants to hear it because you're not winning anymore. And the funny thing is, Tiger Woods, I'll use him as an example, he has his foundation. He works with kids all the time. He gives clinics all the time. But it's not the same because we don't see it. Muhammad Ali is in the street playing stickball with the kids, playing basketball with the kids, boxing 100 kids, laughing with 100 kids, allowing himself to be amongst the people, not above the people. And that's the difference between today and yesterday. Athletes today are afraid to be amongst the people because you don't know. People might kill you. You don't trust anybody. Muhammad Ali, you see the pictures of him on the bus with hundreds of Africans in Africa and the Philippines, hung around all the kids, everywhere he was, in America, city to city, always around the kids, always around. He made all the leaders of the world look at him, respect him. Athletes today, they could care less. Yeah, Tiger was a part of Obama's first inauguration speech, sitting up on the dais. But Obama's not having lunch with Tiger talking about the world. Not talking to Michael about the world. He wants to play golf with him. That's it. May want to shoot baskets with Michael or play golf with Michael. I feel bad for athletes today because Ali's standard is so high. It's untouchable. Jim Brown's untouchable because their lives changed the world. And Tiger had a run where he was changing the world. But when he came crashing down, nobody tried to help him back up. Everybody wanted to keep him down. And that's sad. Magic Johnson. Magic has done more for so many people, and he's well loved because of it. But when he went down, they had Nightline, and the guy in Nightline, he's gonna die, he's gonna die. I mean, it was terrible. He's still here. So we need to cherish him while we still have him. So in closing, I'll say this. My first hero has passed. Well, my first non-home hero has passed. My mother, I love her more than anything in life. But my first hero has passed. Hopefully, I can live out the rest of my days to make him proud, as he made me. He will always be the greatest. He is the greatest. And there'll never be anyone like him to the end of time. But that's just one man's opinion. My name is Richard Harris. Rest in peace, champ.